Hey guys, it's the Comics Kid 2099, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit. This is a rant of sorts about Batman's Rogues Gallery. This is something that has happened in a few books, and it's not something that happens a whole lot. It's not a very often recurring thing, but when it does happen, it just gets under my skin, and it's something that really takes me out of the story, and that is when Batman's villains team up in large numbers. This happened at the end of The Long Halloween. Anyone who's read this book knows that near the very end of the book, a good number, like 8 or 9 of Batman's villains, all team up and they go and attack Falcone at his house. And then this happens again in the sequel or the follow-up, The Dark Victory. And in that, all the villains of Gotham are all gathered for one of Two-Face's faux trial things. And then you see this a couple of times in other books. Like I say, it doesn't happen a lot. In Hush Returns, I think there's a couple of villains who are gathered together, and it's one of those things. The reason this bugs me so much with Batman villains is because it feels like you're dumbing down the psychology of each of these characters. If you throw Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and Two-Face all together, and you say that they're all working together, it really comes off as if you're just saying, well, they're bad guys, and so that's why they would all work together. And it comes off as very crude and simplistic. Batman is a good guy, these guys are bad guys, so they're all going to work together and Batman has to stop them. And that's basically the plot of the 1966 movie. But the difference between, say, The Long Halloween and the 1966 movie is that in the 1960s, Batman's, basically all of comics really, weren't as psychologically defined as they are now. It wasn't until the later 1960s when Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams started working on Batman, and they kind of made him a little bit darker and a little bit more serious. They added characters with motivations that made a little bit more sense, were less goofy. But I'm okay giving the 1966 movie a pass on this because that predated their work on the character. However, you have something like The Long Halloween. There's no reason at all why Catwoman would work with Two-Face. Catwoman is a thief. She's a cat burglar. Two-Face is defined by his coin. He flips his coin. He may or may not decide to do an evil deed. If Catwoman is in it to go and steal that jeweled necklace over there, she can't depend on Two-Face because he might flip his coin and it might come up the good side, and then she can't rely on him. There's no reason why she would work with Scarecrow. Scarecrow has been portrayed in many different ways. He was portrayed differently in The Sandman by Neil Gaiman than he is, say, in Batman Begins or Arkham Asylum Living Hell. But usually Jonathan Crane is portrayed as being very interested in studying fear and the effects of fear, and that's why he's always releasing his fear toxin. And it makes no kind of sense why Catwoman and Scarecrow would be working together in this large team of villains who are going to attack a mobster in The Long Halloween. And I keep coming back to The Long Halloween. I really probably should be fair. This is happening in all of the books I mentioned, Hush Returns, The Long Halloween, and Dark Victory. But I mentioned this book specifically because everybody likes to pretend like that book is a good story, and it's really not. But I think on paper, the idea that, Batman has X number of villains, and if it takes him this much effort to defeat the Riddler, and it takes him this much effort to defeat the Joker, well then why not have them work together? And if it's harder for him to defeat 2 villains than it is to defeat 1 villain, well then it must be really, really hard for him to defeat 9 villains. And this is the reason why we have the Legion of Doom, or the Secret Society of Supervillains. Although that's really more of a DC Universe thing. It's not limited to Batman or Superman. Although even with the Legion of Doom, even though this is an older concept dating back to the 60s, it's not like you can see all of these really unstable characters working together in the Legion of Doom. Lex Luthor is basically in it for himself, but he is capable of rational thought. He's capable of reasoning that maybe he can benefit from working with Gorilla Grodd or the Ultra Humanite. He is not so unhinged like the Joker, where he would never work with these guys and it just seems unbelievable that he would. And, you know, you look at the Justice League cartoon, there was a couple of episodes where the Joker worked with a version of the Secret Society of Supervillains, or whatever it's called. And I love those episodes, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense that the Joker, who is chaos embodied, it doesn't make any sense that he would work in the confines of a team that follows some kind of hierarchy and has a set of rules that they follow. Even if they are out to break laws and out to cause trouble, they're still following rules when they are listening to a team leader like Lex Luthor or Gorilla Grodd. That's about all I have to say. It was something that was kind of annoying me, and I wanted to get it off my chest, and I thought it would make a good video. So I'm anxious to hear what you guys have to say. I hope this wasn't too much of a ranty episode. I feel like I made some decent points. And if you feel like you have some comments to make, go ahead and make comments or make a video response. And hope you guys have happy holidays.